3 eggs a day. Your doctor has probably told you to avoid them. Your wife might be worried about your cholesterol. But what if I told you that those 3 eggs could make the difference between waking up twice a night to use the bathroom and sleeping straight through until morning? Between feeling like a shadow of the man you used to be and reclaiming the vitality you thought was gone forever? Gentlemen, we need to talk about what is really happening inside your prostate and why the most powerful tool you have may be sitting in your refrigerator right now. I'm Dr. Richard Bean, and for more than 2 decades, I have been at the intersection of food, science, and medicine. My research at the Angiogenesis Foundation has focused on how what we eat can activate the body's own defense systems. The same systems that control blood vessel growth, immune defense, the microbiome, stem cell repair, and the epigenetic signals that determine whether our genes work for us or against us. And I can tell you with confidence that the science on eggs has been one of the most consequential misunderstandings in the history of nutritional medicine. For decades, men were told to limit eggs or eliminate them entirely because of concerns about dietary cholesterol. That advice has been revised, but the fear lingered. The cultural message stuck even after the science moved on. And in the meantime, an entire generation of men unknowingly cut out one of the most targeted, complete foods nature has ever produced for male health specifically. Today, I'm going to walk you through the biology your doctor never explained. Stay with me to the end because I'm going to share the exact egg strategy that supports stronger erections, smoother urinary flow, and energy that doesn't crash at 2 in the afternoon. And I want you to tell me in the comments, have you been avoiding eggs because of what someone told you years ago? Let's get into it. Let's start with something most men get completely wrong. You think protein is protein. Steak, chicken, eggs, all the same, right? Not even close. And here is what the science actually shows. When you eat a steak, your body has to work hard. That muscle tissue was built for movement. It's dense, fibrous, and structurally complex. Your digestive system has to break down those tough fibers. And even after all that work, research shows that only about 80% of that protein is actually absorbed and used. You are losing roughly 20% of what you paid for right there. Now consider an egg. An egg was designed by nature through millions of years of evolutionary pressure to build an entire living creature from a single cell. Think about that for a moment. Everything a chick needs to go from one cell to a fully formed organism is packed inside that shell. It is a self-contained life support system. Every amino acid, every building block your body needs is present in near-perfect proportion. Scientists measure this using something called biological value, a scale of how efficiently the body can actually use a given protein source. Eggs score close to 100%. That means virtually every gram of protein you consume from an egg goes to work inside you. Nothing wasted. Now, here's where this becomes serious, gentlemen. I am not just talking about building biceps. I am talking about the smooth muscle tissue lining your blood vessels. I am talking about the pelvic floor muscles, the network of tissue that holds your prostate and bladder in place like a carefully engineered suspension system. I am talking about the delicate tissue that controls urinary flow and erectile function. These tissues sustain microscopic damage every single day. High-quality egg protein is the repair kit they are calling out for. Many of my patients describe a heaviness in the pelvic region or notice that recovery after intimacy takes longer than it once did. This is your body sending a signal. It is telling you I need better raw materials. Eggs deliver exactly that fast, clean, and complete. Now, let's talk about energy because this is where the picture gets really interesting from a physiological standpoint. If you have been relying on lean chicken breast to fuel your day, I need you to hear this. Lean protein provides the building blocks for repair, but it contributes almost nothing to immediate energy production. Your body can only convert about 10 to 20% of that protein into usable fuel. The rest goes to structural repair. Valuable, yes, but it will not power your afternoon. Eggs work differently. The fats in that yolk are not your enemy. They are, in fact, one of your greatest metabolic advantages. With eggs, your body can convert approximately 23 of what you consume directly into usable energy. What this means in practice is sustained even energy throughout the morning. No crash at 10:30. No reaching for something sweet because your fuel tank is already empty. Here is the physiological connection that most men never make, and it is one I find genuinely fascinating. Stable energy means stable blood sugar. Stable blood sugar means healthy insulin levels. And healthy insulin levels protect something called nitric oxide, the molecule your body absolutely depends on to relax the smooth muscle in your blood vessels and produce an erection. When you spike your insulin with sugary snacks or refined carbohydrates, you are chemically interfering with your own performance. You are essentially blocking the signal your body needs to do what it naturally wants to do. Eggs keep insulin in check. They keep you satiated, which prevents those sugar cravings. And they support healthy body composition, which matters enormously because every excess pound of visceral fat around the abdomen places mechanical pressure on the prostate and suppresses testosterone production. Better libido, stronger morning erections, easier urinary flow. These are not separate issues. They are all downstream consequences of the same upstream metabolic environment. Fix the environment, and you start seeing changes across the board. Here is something that genuinely surprised even me when I first encountered the research on it, and I want to share it with you. Egg whites are not simply protein. They are a sophisticated natural antibacterial system. Nature engineered the egg white to protect a developing chick that has no immune system of its own. A living creature with zero defenses against the microbial world. To accomplish that, the proteins in egg whites can physically disrupt bacterial cell walls and deprive harmful microorganisms of the iron they require to survive and replicate. Why does this matter for you? Because low-grade bacterial irritation is one of the most common and most overlooked drivers of prostate discomfort in men over 50. It does not always show up clearly on standard tests. It does not always produce dramatic symptoms, but it creates a background level of inflammation that over time wears the system down. When you consume cooked egg whites, you are introducing these protective compounds into your system. They support your body's natural defenses. They help quiet that low-grade irritation at the source. Now, you may have heard that egg whites block biotin absorption. This is true only for raw egg whites and only when consumed in very large quantities. Cooking completely neutralizes the protein responsible for that effect, a protein called avidin. Scrambled, fried, poached, it doesn't matter. The cooking process takes care of it. So cook your eggs however you enjoy them. Let me shift now to something that men rarely think about until the consequences become impossible to ignore. We talk a great deal about muscle loss with aging. The arms, the legs, the back. Everyone understands that. But here is what the research makes clear. You are also losing muscle in the pelvic floor. And the pelvic floor is arguably the most critical structural system in your body from the standpoint of urological and sexual health. These muscles hold your prostate in its proper anatomical position. They help your bladder empty completely and efficiently. They maintain the pressure needed during an erection. When they weaken, you feel it. A weaker stream, occasional leakage, a loss of firmness that wasn't there a decade ago. The biological signal your body needs to preserve and rebuild this muscle tissue comes from a specific amino acid called leucine. Think of leucine as the master switch. Without sufficient leucine, the molecular machinery responsible for muscle protein synthesis simply does not activate. Your body does not get the message to rebuild and maintain. The tissue continues to deteriorate. Eggs are one of the richest dietary sources of leucine available to you. If you have noticed a weaker urinary stream, incomplete emptying, or reduced firmness, this is precisely the support your body has been asking for. Leucine keeps the pelvic floor strong. A strong pelvic floor means better bladder control, more reliable erectile function, and because muscle tissue is metabolically active, a healthier resting metabolic rate that helps manage body weight, which loops back again to protecting the prostate. Everything in this system connects. That is the elegance of it from a scientific perspective. Now, I want to share something that almost nobody talks about, and it may be the most important part of this entire conversation. Eggs contain a trio of nutrients, choline, vitamin B12, and folate that work together to support a fundamental biological process called methylation. I want you to understand what methylation actually is because this process touches nearly every system in your body that is relevant to how you feel day to day. Methylation is essentially your body's internal maintenance crew. It repairs damaged DNA before errors can accumulate. It clears out old hormones, estrogen, cortisol so they do not linger in the system and create imbalance. It produces the neurotransmitters that regulate your mood, your mental sharpness, your motivation, and your drive. It manages inflammation at the cellular level. When methylation slows down, as it tends to do with age, stress, and nutritional gaps, you feel it in ways that are hard to name but impossible to ignore. Brain fog, fatigue that sleep doesn't fix, low libido, a prostate that feels irritated or heavy without a clear cause, a general sense that your body is running on a slower, more congested frequency. Here is something that surprises many of my patients. A significant portion of men carry a common genetic variation, a variant in a gene called MYTHFAR that makes methylation inherently less efficient. These men are often functioning at a disadvantage they are completely unaware of, and they never connect the dots between that genetic tendency and the symptoms they are experiencing. Eggs provide the raw materials your body needs to keep this system running. Choline, of which eggs are one of the single richest dietary sources, supports brain function and liver health. Vitamin B12 maintains the integrity of your nervous system and supports the rapid turnover of your cells. Folate works alongside B12 to keep your DNA repair processes operating accurately. My patients consistently report feeling mentally clearer and more energetically stable after making eggs a daily habit. This internal maintenance work helps balance hormones, calm cellular inflammation, and create a healthier physiological environment, one in which your prostate functions better and your sexual health responds accordingly. The science on this is not subtle. The methylation cycle is one of the most well-documented and clinically significant pathways in all of nutritional medicine. Let's talk about the yolk specifically for a moment, because the yolk has been unfairly demonized for decades, and the research tells a very different story. Egg yolks contain two antioxidants, lutein and xanthan, that you have probably heard discussed in the context of eye health. And yes, the evidence for ocular protection is strong, but the science has also shown that these same antioxidants are absorbed into the bloodstream and incorporated directly into prostate tissue and the walls of blood vessels throughout the body. Here is why that matters. Your prostate is under continuous oxidative stress from a poor diet, from prolonged sitting, from chronic tension, from the general metabolic burden of modern life. This oxidative stress generates unstable molecules called free radicals that damage cellular structures, drive inflammation, and over time impair both prostate function and vascular health. Lutein and zeaxanthin act as molecular stabilizers. They circulate through the bloodstream and incorporate into the very tissues that need protection most, neutralizing those unstable molecules before they can cause harm. The practical result is less inflammation, better microarticulation, a healthier cellular environment in the prostate itself, and healthier blood vessels, which are the same vessels you depend on for strong, reliable erections. Food is medicine in the most literal sense, and it is precisely the kind of evidence that drives my work. Now, one important distinction I want to make, because not all eggs are nutritionally equivalent, and the difference matters. Conventional caged eggs come from hens living under chronic stress, fed primarily corn and soy. These eggs have a notably higher ratio of omega-6 fatty acids, the pro-inflammatory kind relative to omega-3s. For a man trying to reduce prostate inflammation and support cardiovascular health, that ratio works against you. Free-range labeling sounds better, but in many commercial operations, those hens still spend the vast majority of their time in crowded indoor environments. The nutritional difference compared to caged eggs is often minimal. What you are looking for is pasture-raised eggs, hens with genuine access to outdoor space and a varied natural diet. The research consistently shows that pasture-raised eggs contain significantly higher levels of vitamin D and vitamin K2, both of which are critical for arterial health and prostate function. They also show a substantially better omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Organic is an excellent secondary consideration as it ensures feed free of pesticide residues. That said, if pasture-raised eggs are not accessible to you, do not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Any egg is a dramatically better breakfast than a processed meal built on refined carbohydrates and added sugars. The most important variable is consistency. Show up for this habit every day, and the biology will follow. One more thing worth noting here. The cholesterol conversation. I know it is the first thing on your mind because it has been the first thing on every patient's mind for 30 years. So let me be direct about the science. Your liver produces the vast majority of the cholesterol in your bloodstream, roughly 80% of it. Dietary cholesterol, the kind you eat, has far less influence on blood cholesterol levels in most people than we once believed. Large-scale reviews and meta-analyses published over the last decade have consistently failed to find a meaningful link between moderate egg consumption and increased cardiovascular risk in healthy individuals. What actually drives problematic cholesterol levels? Refined carbohydrates, added sugars, processed oils, chronic inflammation, sedentary behavior. These are the actual drivers. And ironically, eggs, by stabilizing blood sugar and reducing inflammatory load, can actually improve your cholesterol profile in terms of the ratio that matters most, raising HDL, the protective kind, relative to LDL. So eat your eggs. The science is on your side. To make your eggs even more effective, combine them strategically with the right foods. This is something I think about from an angiogenesis and bioavailability standpoint. And the synergies are real. Spinach and dark leafy greens. Your body converts the dietary nitrates in these vegetables into nitric oxide through a two-step enzymatic process. The same nitric oxide molecule that relaxes vascular smooth muscle and drives healthy blood flow, including the flow that determines erectile function. The fat-soluble antioxidants in spinach, vitamins E and K, lutein, beta-carotene, are dramatically more absorbable when consumed alongside dietary fat. The fat in the egg yolk provides exactly that absorption vehicle. Cook them together and you are not just making breakfast. You are creating a clinically meaningful synergy between two of the most evidence-supported foods for vascular and prostate health. Tomatoes lycopene is one of the most well-researched phytonutrients for prostate health in all of nutritional science. Studies have shown men with higher lycopene levels in their prostate tissue consistently have better outcomes across a range of prostate health markers. Cooking tomatoes concentrates the lycopene and fundamentally changes its chemical structure in a way that makes it significantly more bioavailable. Combining cooked tomatoes with the fat in egg yolks enhances absorption even further. This pairing represents one of the most supported food combinations I can recommend specifically for the prostate. Avocado. It adds soluble fiber and healthy monounsaturated fats. Oleic acid, the same fat found in olive oil, both of which stabilize blood sugar, extend satiety well into the afternoon, and support sustained and even energy through the morning. Avocado also supplies potassium, which supports healthy blood pressure, and the B vitamin folate, which reinforces the methylation cycle we discussed earlier. Black pepper. It contains a bioactive compound called piperine that has been shown in clinical studies to enhance the absorption of a remarkably wide range of nutrients, in some cases by as much as 20%. Add it to your eggs and you are not simply seasoning your food. You are pharmacologically increasing the bioavailability of every other nutrient on the plate. Cook your eggs in olive oil or quality butter. These are thermally stable fats that bring their own anti-inflammatory and nutritional benefits. Polyphenols from the olive oil, fat-soluble vitamins from the butter without generating the harmful oxidation byproducts that unstable vegetable oils produce at cooking temperatures. So, what does the practical habit actually look like? Up to 3 eggs per day is the research-supported sweet spot for most men. You can distribute them across meals, one with breakfast, one at lunch, one in the evening, or enjoy them all together in the morning, whichever fits your rhythm. The strategy matters far less than the consistency. What I observe in my patients who make this shift is remarkable in its regularity. Fewer nighttime bathroom trips, more complete emptying of the bladder, stronger, more predictable urinary flow, more reliable sexual performance, clearer thinking, more even energy through the day. This is not anecdote. This is the predictable biological result of giving the body's repair systems the raw materials they have been asking for. The prostate does not deteriorate because aging is simply and unavoidably written into your biology. It deteriorates in large part because most men in the modern world are chronically undernourishing the very systems designed to maintain it. The egg is not a magic solution, but it is a remarkably complete one. A single food that addresses protein quality, energy metabolism, pelvic floor integrity, methylation support, antioxidant defense, and vascular health all at once. In 30 years of studying the intersection of food and medicine, I have encountered very few foods with a comparable density of relevant evidence-supported benefits for men's health. Specifically, I want to close with something I say to my patients when they come in frustrated, feeling like their body has turned against them. You are not broken. You have not passed your peak. Your body is not in decline because decline is inevitable. It is in a state of resource scarcity. It has been given inadequate raw materials for too long, and it is doing the best it can with what it has been given. The research is clear on this. The biology of aging is far more responsive to nutrition than most people, including many physicians, have been trained to believe. Here is what I have seen in my work and in the scientific literature that gives me genuine optimism. The body wants to heal. That is not a metaphor. It is a biological fact. Your stem cells are primed and waiting for the right nutritional signals to activate repair. Your blood vessels are constantly remodeling in response to what you eat. Your microbiome shifts composition within days of a dietary change. Your epigenetic markers, the switches that turn genes on and off, respond to food in ways we are only beginning to fully map. The body does not forget how to function well. It simply needs the inputs that allow it to do so. And eggs combined with the foods I described are one of the most direct evidence-based ways to begin sending those signals. The tools to change this are not complicated. They are not expensive. Many of them are already in your kitchen. The 3 eggs sitting in your refrigerator right now represent more targeted biological support for your prostate, your energy, your vascular system, and your brain than the vast majority of supplements on the market. The difference is you can actually trust the research behind them. If what I shared today connected with something you have been experiencing, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment and tell me which part of this surprised you most. Have you been avoiding eggs based on advice you received years ago? I read every comment. If you found value here, hit the like button and share this with a man in your life who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel for more evidence-based conversations about the foods and habits that keep your biology working in your favor. Because your health does not have to go in one direction only. You are not broken. You are not past your prime. You have simply been under-resourced. And that is something we can change, starting with what is already in your kitchen.